David sits down and we'll get this thing rolling. And good evening, everyone. This is Meadows Place City Council. This is a regular scheduled meeting. This is Tuesday, September 26, 2023, and we are right at 6:30 p.m. And we have some visitors. Perfect timing. No, perfect timing. Call to order and announce the quorum is present. We are missing Kel Mills. Don't know why. We'll hope to see her. So, maybe try to touch base. With that, we'll move on to item number B, which we normally don't have, but we do have one this evening. No, we're not going to skip the pledge. So I'm excited about that. But yes, now we'll go back to the pledge because I skipped right over it. I was excited. We're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance. And I was wondering if anybody back there over there behind Jimmy would volunteer to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, he's going to lead it? Perfect. And what is his name? What is his name? No, this is how you learn to do stuff like that. All right. Now, everybody, please remain standing after the Pledge of Allegiance for the invocation. And I would like to add my condolences and continued prayer for the Francis family. What's his name, Matthew? Matthew. The rules are that if you say the pledge, you get to have a bottle of water. Go. Come on and get it. Okay, well, you get a cupcake whenever we're having it. I came across this thing and I was reading it, and it was World Education Day and World Teacher Day. And I went, wow, that's kind of cool. And then I realized it was coming up next week on October 5th. And I said, we've got teachers at Meadows Place, and they're part of the world. So we're going to have a proclamation. If you'll join me, Ms. Blackmer, up at the podium, and all the Meadows people. And mainly because Cameron says, you've got to get down here, we can take a picture. Whereas teachers mold future citizens through guidance and education, and whereas teachers encounter students of widely differing backgrounds, and whereas our country's future depends upon providing quality education to all students, and whereas teachers spend countless hours preparing lessons, evaluating progress, counseling and coaching students, and performing community service. And whereas our community recognizes and supports its teachers in educating the children of this community in Meadows Place, whereas World Teachers Day is internationally held day annually on 5th of October to celebrate the work of teachers. Established in 1994, commemorates the signing of recommendations by many organizations, including the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, Mayor and City Council, by virtue of our authority vested in the City of Meadows Place, do hereby proclaim October 5th, 2023, in big bold letters, World Teachers Day. Be it further resolved that the City of Meadows Place Mayor and City Council strongly encourage all members of our community to join in personally expressing appreciation to our teachers for their dedication and devotion to their work. Signed, C.D. Jessup IV. And I want to say, let's give these gals a round of applause. Cameron, where do you want it? My granddaughter just just started her first day of school out in San Diego. We're there at the new base out there. Okay, we're going to have a time for item C, the reports. If we could get the police department up to give their report. Let's see what we got.
Mayor, council, citizens, thank you all for coming tonight. We'll go over the spreadsheet, which is our monthly numbers from the last council meeting up until yesterday. Number of reportable accidents, we had 11. Number of arrests, we had 11. Calls for service, which are any police activity, we had 2,198. We took 53 offense reports. Citations issued for traffic, 365 for 701 charges, and 2 city ordinance violation citations issued. Warnings issued for traffic, 142 for 171 charges. Warnings issued for city ordinance violations were 6, which gave us a total activity count of 3,153. As we move down to a little more detail, assaults we had 3, burglary of motor vehicle we had 2, burglary of business we had 0, a burglary of a residence we had 1, city ordinance violations we had a total of 8, excuse me, criminal mischief we had 4, fraud we had 3, and 0 robberies. Property checks, which include the school checks and business checks, 1,701. Thefts, we had 3. Stolen vehicles, unauthorized use of motor vehicle, we had 0. We had, in the TLC program, 71 to pass, 33 to fail for 104 contacts. Down at the bottom is a little more detail about the city ordinance violations. We had 3 contacts for junk or abandoned vehicles. They were tagged and complied. 3 for solicitors that had left the area before the officers were able to arrive. We issued 2 citations for solicitors, 0 accidents in the roundabout for the reporting period. And then you see, we seem to be having an increase in parking lot accidents. We'd like for them to be there than on the highway because they're usually just minor fender benders. Going to your summary with the activity and comments, I believe the chief usually tells you to skim through there right quick to see if you have any questions about any of the activity for the reporting period. And then I did want to mention under your residential burglaries, we did have one, and the residence is listed. That the property was removed from the house, and without knowing anything more, it is classified as a burglary. However, we talk about our reporting that that's not what we would generally think of as a burglary. Technically it is, because somebody went to the house, took property out of there. Given that it's a daily, weekly rental property, that's on page 3, I'm sorry. Page 3 near the top. I just wanted to point that out because it's not really a burglary in the sense that we think of. And then continuing on, so on page 6,
Jack,
yes, sir.
Could I get you to stop at page
Sure.
4? You had a fraud down at the bottom of page 4. This concerns me.
Let me.
It's CID received a lot of Lynn's report from Family Protection Services, and there was possible exploitation of an elderly Meadows Place resident.
Yes, sir.
This is something an area that kind of worries me. It said the bank was notified after a fraudulent account was opened, with several transactions being made, but the resident suffered no loss. I'm assuming that's because banking insurance or something like that. But
the bank actually trapped the transactions before they were able to clear.
Okay.
So it was the timeliness of everything, the notification, and then coordinating with the bank, and they were able to detect and pick up that it was a fraudulent charge. This wasn't the classic notifying write-off. The bank actually caught it in time.
Okay. So they're getting better at what they do too.
Yes, sir.
And what's the chance of catching somebody like that?
Based on the information in this one in particular, not very much, unfortunately. And then with the financial institutions, I was just talking with a resident yesterday whose American Express had been hijacked. And American Express is great at crediting your account, but they don't investigate.
Right.
I suspect that it's got to be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars before they get concerned.
All right. Is there anything we can do, meaning you and us as a city administration do, to remind people to be aware of something?
I think what you just said is the constant reminders. As you know, that we've been out at several different public events and somebody comes up, and that we remind them, we refer them, that we put out articles, we make information available. We're talking about starting back up something in the form of the Neighborhood Watch meeting, that to get information out there and to make ourselves available to share the information, because sometimes a flyer doesn't quite get the message across.
Well, I would like to offer this up. One of the things that about 40% of our residents, the best I can guess, read is their utility bill. So, I mean, if there's a message that we could put on that or something, please think about that and just get that plugged in.
Sure, and maybe as simple as feel free to reach out to us. I'm sure we can work with Cameron to get some of our flyers, brochures up there as well, to have something to refer people to.
Okay. Be thinking. I think that's just I think we're susceptible.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's good question and point. So flipping over to tiny print page 6, that the flock breakdown, we seem to be hovering in the 60 to 70 unique alerts on there. As you can see, 18 for stolen vehicle, 16 for sex offender, 14 for stolen plates, 4 for gang or suspected terror alerts, 1 was a missing person, 3 for warrants, 8 for protection order alerts, 2 for other agencies that have entered vehicles in themselves, and 0 for violent persons. And then as we move down, the total number of arrests were 11. You see a quick breakdown. Warrants in other agency jurisdictions, we had 4. Protective order 1, failure to ID, fugitive, which means that somebody was a fugitive, they were wanted, and they failed to ID or to give, they gave fictitious information. Driving while license invalid was 1. Possession of controlled substance was 1. DWI with evading was 1. And then criminal trespass we had 2. I will jump to the criminal trespass. We had 2 visitors to the pool in the middle of the night. And I believe it was Officer Richmond, in doing his property check, observed them, knowing that the pool was closed at 8 a.m., went in to visit with them and found out they had hopped the fence and spent some time in there, and I believe they were found to be in possession of some marijuana as well. So they were escorted off of the property. And then I have a brief comment because I wanted to make sure that we didn't gloss over it, but we did have the activity with the Sheriff's Department at 12326 Meadow Hollow, as we're all aware. That's on page 9, about middle of the page. And it's just a quick note that it was in reference to human trafficking and that it is still an active case, meaning that it is still under investigation. So there is limited information that is available to the public at this point in time. And then moving to the additional notes, that it's everybody, we just finished our training cycle and have moved into the new training cycle. And I mentioned that because everybody's trying to get a jump on that up front rather than being towards the back end. With that, National Night Out is next Tuesday. Our hours are 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I believe that Lee sent out an email inviting everyone, and hopefully you RSVP'd yes or no. And at last count, I think we only had 5 parties, but we will make our customary list from last year to double check to see if we've missed anybody in that, but we will have that available that night. Shop 40, which is our new... Yes, sir.
Let me interrupt. Council, how many council are planning on participating in National Night Out? So you're going to stay there and have a party? So you're going to make us come together. I got it. Perfect. Thank you, Council. It's important that we participate in this.
Mr. Mayor. Yeah. Mr. Mayor, if you're aware of any of the aldermen that are having a party, if you could encourage them to notify us of such.
I'll do so immediately.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I would like to formally let you know that we'll be having a party. Okay, never mind.
Thank you. Moving right along, that I am happy to report that today we got notification that all of our equipment is in for the new car, and we are scheduled to take it Tuesday to the upfitter and hope to have it back by the following Tuesday. Please say a prayer that that holds true. And Mesa, I know we've been reporting on it, and poor Courtney has experienced some of our after-hours glitches, and I think we are close to having those worked out. So I'm optimistic that we're almost done with this Mesa project. And as you may know, that last week we conducted a Sergeant's Promotional Assessment Board, and it went very well. That we had 5 that actually participated in it, and all did well. That I know the chief and I both were very excited. We originally had 6 and hated to hear that one of them dropped out at the last minute, but it went well. That's all I can share with you until the chief returns, but just that we're excited how it did go. Grant status, that the radio recorder still, it's approved. We're waiting for more specifications on the console so we know how to configure the recorder for the console. The console grant has gone through a review and has been pushed till later this year for another round of reviews. I understand that some of the grant funding was cut, and they're trying to restructure the list. So we're hoping to.
Where'd that funding originate? Is that a federal? Is that federal funding, state, or county, or what? You know,
Mr. Mayor, I'm not local. It is state. I do know that it is at the state level, because it went to the governor's office and was sent back for a later review.
So they're sitting on $31 billion. Okay, maybe that's why they're still sitting on.
Sir, we were asking for $197,000 of that.
No, that's probably what killed it.
So, portable radio grant is moving very well through the system. We're very optimistic about it. And we are still working on the funding, approximately $250,000 for in-car and body camera, that I think that Jerry has discovered that he may be able to split that to 2 different funding sources, which makes it a little more palatable as well to those with the funds. And with that, that concludes the report.
I don't know if this is a question for Jack or for Colleen. The floating dock damage to the rails, do we think it was vandalism, just people shaking the... Okay, so vandalism. All right, so anybody walking in the park, people watch out for the vandals and report them to us.
Is the dock closed at this point? Okay.
So as reported to me, it appears that an individual or multiple, we don't know, there's no cameras down there, but apparently they were trying to rock the dock, and so they were standing in the walkway, the gangway plank, and they were rocking it so hard that it actually broke the welds that hold the railing onto the dock. So they cannot be repaired. We've already contacted the company that manufactures that and got some pricing for total replacement of that. And it's actually both railings that are in question. So we will be replacing those. So for now, it is closed, and we will be ordering those soon. You're welcome.
Good evening, Council. I'm presenting Code Enforcement's fourth quarter report, and will include fiscal year numbers as well. From June 23rd to September 20th, there were 450 violations opened, 332 closed. Total weekends worked were 6. Total cases opened were 242, and there were also 242 cases closed. There were 28 citations issued. Therefore, 2 of them were dead landscaping, 5 were for trash at the curb not on a trash day. 4 of them were for running at large. 2 were permits that were not obtained, and 3 were for junk abandoned vehicles. 3 were for stagnant pools. 3 were for tree clearances. 2 were for the exterior walls were not cleaned. 2 were for accumulations. 3 were for stumps not removed. And 2 were for illegal dumping into the storm sewer. 1 was for a substandard home. And 1 was for grass larger. The grass was higher than 9 inches. And 1 was for the fence not repaired, as well as 1 of the homes was the walls were not repaired. For the fiscal year, there were 1,815 violations that were opened and 1,507 that were closed. 1,304 cases were opened. 1,353 cases were closed. There were 24 weekends worked and 96 citations were issued. Additionally, there are the case initiation types. That's where they're proactive or reactive. For this quarter, there were 142 proactive, 992 for the fiscal year. 100 were reactive in this quarter, 322 reactive for the fiscal year. Violation closed types were there either voluntary or they're forced abatements. 295 were voluntary for this quarter. 1,275 were closed voluntarily for the fiscal year. 37 forced abatements for the fourth quarter, and 232 for this fiscal year.
Define forced.
Forced would either be having to go to court or me pulling signs. That's a forced action. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Abatement activities, there were 778 inspections completed for the fourth quarter, 3,389 inspections completed for the fiscal year, 721 notices were issued in the fourth quarter, 2,783 notices were issued for the fiscal year. Moving on to Fort Bend County Animal Services. They submitted 2 reports during this quarter. They included 5 impounded animals. They were consisting of 2 possums, 1 cat, 1 bird, and 1 raccoon. There was a 1 welfare check where they were checking on a dog and its welfare, and then warning was given to the owner. There was also a report of a loose dog, that it was attacking other dogs, but the aggressive dog was gone when they arrived on the scene. Turning to the second page, the top 5 violations for this quarter were 41 trash next to the curb area, not on a trash day, 38 dead landscaping and trees, and you'll see there the eyes, meaning they're invalid. If you remember, I stated that we were not going to be addressing dead grass for a little time due to the drought that we're in, but I was still getting complaints. So I had to register them, but they were invalid for this time period. Obstructions and clearances of trees and landscaping, there were 36 for this quarter, and 31 grass and weeds in excess of 9 inches. 28 bandit signs were removed. That was for the quarter. And the top 10 violations, I'm going to do the 5 only for this meeting. The top 5 were the grass and weeds in excess of 9 inches, were 243 for the fiscal year. Trash next to the curb area, not a trash day, were 224. Bandit signs were 142. Trash cans or recycling bins visible from the street were 131. Dead landscaping and trees was 129. A long-standing home on Alston with various violations has been maintaining compliance. There's a summation at the very bottom of the page of 3. If you want to go ahead and take a look at that. If anyone has any questions, that concludes my report. It It's in compliance for now. It's not necessarily complete with what he's doing, but he's in compliance. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it seems like he was working for a while, and then I haven't seen a whole lot of work recently.
Right.
Maybe he's working on getting permits, but I hope he actually finishes the house.
Well, me too. Me too.
I noticed the last name on that Alston house. Is it a same person that had one on Dorrance?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
You think he would have learned from that one?
Oh, no, I don't think so. Obviously, when you've got 3 council people up here that all know the house, it has our attention,
Yes, sir.
and I hope it has yours.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Council, any questions or comments for code enforcement? No?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much. Oh, is your air conditioner working in your truck? Okay. That was an issue. Okay. Item C is fire department report. Council, y'all can all take a look at that. I'm assuming you got it. I got it at the last minute. I spoke last night with or yesterday afternoon with the fire chief. They've got a lot going on over there with the fire department, but everything is okay with the fire department here. We did have 43 incidents, one of which was I need to check on was an animal problem. I'm hoping we didn't bite anybody. We had one building fire, which we normally don't have. We do have passenger vehicle fire, which is not that unusual. So with the good intent calls dispatched and canceled en route, CO detectors due to malfunction, all of those are types of things that we want to see on here that they have to respond to, but are actually not a crisis or anybody getting hurt. We start a new year with the fire department fiscal new year, and the price goes up this year. So we budgeted in there for that. And we saw yesterday at the Francis funeral a great deal of the firefighters that fell out to respond, to be there and be a part of it. I was proud to be a part of that and see that the firefighters that look after and protect us took it to heart that this was one of theirs and this was in our city. And I think it's just a good thing for all of us to have that type of a fire safety group looking after us. I feel about the same way, of course, about our police department. But I did notice that yesterday because I don't hang around with them a lot, so I don't get to see that. So I was very proud of how our fire department handled itself. With that, we'll go on to city administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. This meeting marks the end of our fiscal year 23 budget year. And one of the things that we like to do at the end of the year is to take a look at what we originally adopted and stack that up against what we eventually ended up with on an amended budget. In your agenda packet tonight, you'll find some work that Anna Maria helped compile that shows essentially our original budget that was adopted way back last year, and then the amended budget that is going to be what we actually ended up with. That front page shows our original revenues on the general fund side. Your budget that you adopted about a year ago was a $6.66 million budget. At the end of the year, as of today, we find that the revenue was actually $7.25 million, with an increase of almost $600,000. A good portion of that was the interest revenue that we received. much healthier than we expected. But there were also a number of transfers in throughout the course of the year that we realized through budget amendments. Certainly, the county parks bond that we brought in, as well as some ARPA money, helped make up almost $600,000 more than what we originally anticipated. One of the neat tools that we have in this budget, if you can look at it, is every revenue or every budget amendment that we brought to council is reflected over on the right side in different ordinance numbers. You can see where we made those changes. On the expenditure side, you can see something very similar in terms of how we spent the money. The original budget that we adopted last year on the city side, if you look at the bottom line, we adopted a $6.66 million budget. We ended up, though, on the expenditure side, about $650 more than that at $7.315. A lot of that came as a result of transfers in for certain grants projects. Some of that came from vehicles that we purchased throughout the course of the year. You'll notice that some of it came from, again, the parks bond money that we got, new tractor for parks, sensory playground, foundation repair, vehicle for public works, those kinds of things. So all of that's itemized out for you to take a look at. And next to all of those changes in that middle column, you'll actually see which ordinance changed the expenditure and the revenue side of the budget when we brought those to you. So it's a good exercise to show sort of what happens over the course of a budget year. One of my favorite sayings that I like to always repeat is that a budget, when you adopt it, it's a plan, but it's not an audit, right? And so when you get to the end of the year, you can actually see what we did, and it tells a really good story of what we accomplished throughout the course of a 12-month period. And I think that's what this did for us. So I want to give credit to Anna Maria for coming up with this. It's a neat tool to take a look at, and it really kind of shows you what we did and what we were thinking as we were doing it throughout the course of the year. It was a successful year, had a lot of money come in from outside sources, which is always welcomed, and we were able to accomplish a lot with that. So wanted to bring that to your attention. If you have any questions, let us know. We'd be happy to talk to you about it. But with that, Mayor, that's the report for the end of fiscal year 23. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
And that concludes that. So that's the first time I've seen it in a report like this. Mm-hmm. That is kind of handy. That's I'm just tickled at the increments that we're growing and getting better and more professional and raising our standards in everything, including our financial reporting. I think that's great, and it does. It gives you a real good idea. Well, what happened here? Well, before we'd have to sit down there and think back on what happened, or I'd have to ask Rick or something like that. Now I've got an ordinance there. So
yeah, one of the things that Anna Maria go back and forth on, and I go back and forth on, is there's different philosophies on how to budget, and we're not going for, we don't do a CAFR here, a certified annual financial report, but we certainly want to reflect the actuals once the year ends. And there are some out there that want to see your year-end budgets not go over, right? You don't want to see red numbers. I actually feel the opposite. I think it's an important story to tell. If you spent more than you budgeted in a given year, we want to know that. We want to know why.
Yeah.
So, what I like to do is just let it stay red. And that way we know throughout the course of budgeting, that this year we spent X number of dollars more on fuel, for example, than we anticipated. And it tells a good story. So there are cities that like to do budget amendments at the very end of the year to try and shore up all those numbers. But, if you ever look back, it'd be hard to tell, what happened. So this is a good tool to kind of show that, in this month we decided we'd buy a truck for Public Works. We decided we'd buy a tractor for Parks. And then it actually reflects through an ordinance when we did that and when we brought that to you. So it's a good tool.
And how much it was individually instead of about. No, I really like that. So if you would pass my...
Yeah, and I'd like to comment. The other thing it does is it allows us to show transparency so that when somebody says, well, how did we afford that, or what did we pay for this, it all matches back up. So if it was not in the budget, I think having the ordinance, when we voted to some of those, I remember some of them we had to vote 4 times. That was to get it an ordinance and get it done. But I think it really helps looking at how it balanced and knowing we had additional revenue and how that revenue was spent. So thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much, David. I agree with that. Okay, Nick, does that conclude your report?
That concludes my report. We're doing our very last check run of the year this week. So fiscal year 23 is in the books.
Are you waving at me? Okay, thank you. I'll try to pay attention back to the DJ booth. This has been another great year for Meadows Place. We've just seen a small area of incremental improvement where we added into our reporting system, the ordinance numbers that keyed to changes in our budgets. It's not a big deal, except it is kind of a nice deal. And if anybody ever asks, I've been on the receiving end of that asking and going, and you have to go dig it up. Now we can find it quickly. But that's a small type of thing that we've done throughout the city since I've been here. And I'm real tickled with that. We had another great year. We added, you heard about some of the revenue inputs. Well, that comes from parks bonds and mobility bonds, things like that we've gotten in that now we're starting to get work, and you're starting to see us spend that money, and that'll end up in an expenditure that benefits our residents, and that's explicitly what it's for. If they'll quit breaking the dock, there's a couple of key things that we did. We made some really tough decisions. You're going to see one of them again tonight, but we've been struggling for one of them for a particularly long time because we had to shuffle money around. We had to make sure we weren't overcommitting one way, and we had to take something off the table in another area. These are the types of things that you have to weigh when you're a 1 square mile city with not a whole lot of excess revenue. You just have to do these things. And council, I want to say that I've shared this dais with some really great council members. But as a council, I think this is probably the best overall council that I've ever sat with. And I thank y'all, and y'all are the ones that make this thing such a great place. We're getting ready to approve, I'm assuming, the EDC budget, which will close us out financially. But we struggled with some of that as well in EDC funding. Who's going to be there? How are we going to utilize the money that they shift over? How can we better use it? And we're always trying to find ways to do that. And as mayor, I'm tickled to death that we put this budget out. And I think you and particularly Anna Maria, along with each of our department heads, have made this. And I'm looking at the results of how they spent last year's budget, and I'm telling you, they know how to use their budget, and they use it to serve the people of Meadows Place and make it a better city. And I just want to say, all total, when you drive by, what's the sensory area of our park area, that is just gorgeous. And we saw a bunch of kids out there playing and looking at it, and it's just spectacular. I pulled up because about beside the tennis court about a week ago. There was a young lady there, I'm guessing 13-ish, with her little brother who was maybe 5-ish. And they just hit council the little free library. And he walked up, and she, as big sisters would do, showed him the books, and he picked one, and grinned, and they started to walk off. Well, I couldn't help it. I had to stop. They use that every about 3 weeks, they say. They come up there and they get him a new book. So we got plenty at home, but he likes to come here. And that's what we do, and we read this book, and then we bring it back. Things like that make this city just a wonderful, wonderful place to live, and inspiring me to maybe go up and straighten the books out every once in a while. But I want to thank each one of the department heads, because everybody here has put something in to make it better. Rod and I hate irrigation, and yet he's still trying. You know, it's what can you do? But we're trying to do all the things that we'll take, and it can't make everybody happy with everything, but by golly, y'all do a great, great job. And I want to ask the residents that are listening to us, and all of y'all in the audience, to let us know what we can do to make our city an even better place to live, because everybody up here wants to do that. I'm moving on to community input and reporting concerns. I'm not feeling real well, and so if I sound a little grumpy, it's because I am, especially about this. Guys, we try so hard to communicate with our community. It started back here. You remember Janet Pawanka? She typed up something and handed it out. Then it turned into a newsletter, and we started like every other month. Then it grew, and now we're trying to reach out. We even have a communications director who is very engaged and takes his business very seriously, and works with all our department heads and the rest of the staff to make sure anything going on that we can get out there, we do. Cameron, don't let me forget anything, but right now, not only do we have a newsletter, we've got a website, we got Facebook, we got Instagram, we got YouTube, we got marquee signs that he can change from up here and change the messages to let people receive the information. I'm excited because sometimes I see feedback of a positive manner saying, man, I'm glad they told us that. But I want to stress here that we want your input. I think, Rick, I think you do a real good job of trying to reach out without aggravating people most of the time. But that's it. I know, I see Kurt stand up by the school. Some of that's intentional for him to be able to do his job better in communicating with people and getting input from them. And I encourage everybody to send us them back. We set up that secret ask a question thing. You can report your neighbor anonymously, which we don't like to do because we can't get back to you, but you can go on to code enforcement and say, hey, my neighbor's ugly, and besides that, his grass is too tall. And I'm not telling you my name. She will check it out. You don't have to do that, but we want you to know that we want your information. Please report it, and if you see something going on, and the one that burns me up is people walking through our neighborhood soliciting. Courtney, how many soliciting permits have you handed out since you've been here?
1 in almost 8 years.
1 in 8 years. So the odds are with you that they don't have a soliciting permit. I'm putting this down in the record so in case anybody reads this, they'll know to call in. Please call in. If the cops roll up on them and go, hey, let me see your permit, and they take off running, it's a good sign that they didn't have one. So please do that. And know that communication is a two-way street. And we desire to know what we can do to better serve you. And I'll shut up. Rick, council comments, you're the only one.
All right, going to start with the Mobility Bond Bikeway project. We are still waiting on the next submission. Rather than getting the surveyor, proposal from the surveyor to go pick up the new center point poles. They just went out in the field and field located them. It won't be quite as accurate, but obviously it saves us money. So thank you for that, for our consultant. Yep. So right now they hope to submit the 100% plans to the city on October 23rd. Obviously they're still gathering information, finishing up design, so that's currently the goal. And then after that, we look at it and then send it to Centerpoint again, and then the wait will start. So hopefully the final review will go faster than the initial review did. Any questions on the Bikeway project?
Also want to mention that, when was this, last week, Mayor? You and I met with the mayor of Stafford and brought him up to date on, the new mayor of Stafford, to bring him up to date on the project, gave him a lot of details, including the interlocal agreement that we have with Stafford, and just kind of brought him up to date on commitments and obligations, et cetera. So it was a good conversation.
Okay. You will notice that Dorrance is not on here anymore. We have declared that project closed. And until we start phase 2 or the county starts phase 3, we will not have it on the monthly meetings.
When you say closed, does that mean we paid the final amount, or that's...
No.
No, we haven't. But from the city's perspective, we have officially claimed victory on it. We're moving on. Yeah.
Perfect.
Based on discussions with our city attorney, we can unallocate that money and wait on that contractor to submit to us, rather than continuing to try to chase him to send in his final invoice that he has not sent in for the last 6 months. Actually, 10 months, isn't it? 10 months.
And also for the record, Courtney, the city also has had counsel from our city attorney, and we are fully aware of the statute of limitations that the contract has in it. And so that's a date that we have circled on our calendar as well.
Man, we got a bunch of professionals over here. I'm just so impressed. And with that, we're going to close it out and move it on to regular agenda. Discussion and consideration regarding ordinance 2023-37, approving the City of Meadows Place Economic Development Corporation 2023-2024 fiscal budget as adopted by the Board of Directors at its September 14th, 2023 EDC Corporation meeting. Council looking for a motion to pass the EDC budget.
I'll move.
Motion by David.
Second.
Second by Rick. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mayor, the only thing I'll mention on this one is that, as you notice in the EDC budget, there is that $250,000 that they've dedicated to the city for Dorrance. We'll, at some point in the next 12 months, we're in no rush, but at some point in the next 12 months, we can bring a budget amendment to you to reflect it as a revenue into the city budget, just like we did last year. But I just wanted to make you guys aware that they're good for it, we're good for it, and so you'll see that down the road.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Y'all do that official money transfer stuff, don't you? Okay. No, that's good. Thank you. Discussion, item number 2, discussion and consideration of the first reading of resolution number 2023, identifying Dorrance Lane Rehabilitation Project as rehabilitation as a project and approving EDC expenses not to exceed $250,000 for this project. I'm going to turn to the city secretary. How much of this have I got to read? Can I just read the top? Okay. It's been noticed.
Is this for phase 3?
No, this is that 250 I just mentioned. So
Okay.
State statute requires both governing bodies, both EDC and council, to approve a resolution authorizing it as a project and then spending the money. So, and you have to do it in 2 readings. The good news is you can do both readings at the same meeting, so that's why you see it twice here. But this is just checking that box statutorily to allow us to receive that $250,000 and identify it as a project. It doesn't mean we have to spend it. It doesn't commit the city council to actually doing the project. It just commits us to freeing up the money to do it if and when we decide to.
And this is just public identification of what's about to transpire. Okay, so that then, if I'm understanding, commences as a reading. So I can move on to item 3. Discussion and consideration regarding resolution number 2023-21, ratifying the mayor's signature on an agreement with TXU Energy Retail Company, LLC, for electric rates for a term from January 26th to December 30th. We have an agent for the city that looks out and searches for best utility rates. When there's a change or when there's a fear of a change upward, they notify us. We work with it. I've been doing this for a lot of years. And
Point of order. We did not vote on number 2.
We didn't? Oh, I said it was okay. And that's not the same? Okay, I'm sorry, Council. Thank you, Rick. Okay, so
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Rick.
20.
Who was that second by?
Kelly.
Kelly. Okay, second by Kelly. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Votes unanimous to pass. I'm going to go back to this. What happened? We got a call from that agent. Anne Marie and I sat down and looked at it, and we commenced to tie in a rate. It's going up, but we don't get tied in until year 25th, okay? Oh, that's right. It went into January of 2026. And I don't know what to tell you. It's going to just go up. It's going to be 0.0661, whereas it's now 0.0393. So we're going to be going up, and that's the lowest rate we could find on the board at that time. So know that it's going to be heading up. So anyway, I need otherwise we'll be paying significantly more, like around 11 or 9 probably. So I'm looking for a motion to let me tie down this rate. Do I have such a motion? No? Okay.
I didn't even tell him to do that to you, Charlie. I will move to approve.
Thank you. Second by Kurt. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Anna Maria will be greatly relieved. I promise you. Item 4, discussion and consideration of resolution 2023-22, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with LEM Construction for the wastewater treatment plant clarifier rehabilitation project in the amount of $4,275,000, including alternative items per recommendation of HDR Engineering. We had long discussion on this. We had different agreement when we sat down. Things changed. Rick, you got something to say right here?
Well, based on the recommendation from our city attorney, he said that what we did at the last meeting wasn't quite kosher with procurement laws, and that's one of the reasons I made the motion, contingent on Nick checking with him. So we're going to go ahead and pass the full amount. We're still negotiating with the contractor and trying to get a little bit reduction in price. So I will move to approve resolution number 2023-22 in the amount of $4,275,000.
Do I have a second? Now, said the other engineer, oh yeah, that's nothing. Tia Baker seconded that. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Rod, I know you're happy. I'm happy. This is a major project, and this is something that's going to solidify the life of this city going forward for hopefully another 50 years. Probably take a year and a half, 2 years to get done, But for our city, this is a major, major deal. Council, thank y'all so much. It was fun seeing y'all work. Item number 5, discussion consideration of ordinance 2023-38, repealing the City of Meadows Place Code of Ordinances, Chapter 130, Section 130.53, juvenile curfew per House Bill 1819, effective September 1, 2023. Thank you, State Legislature. So I need a motion to repeal it.
I will regrettably move to approve.
Motion by Rick. Did I hear a grunt? Second.
So to follow up on Charlie, and because Kelly's over here going, what are we doing this for? So once again, your great state legislature decided that cities should not have say over their communities. And they stripped the cities of being able to do juvenile ordinances, which means all of you now have to control your own hooligans. That means if a bunch of 13-year-olds are running around at 4 a.m., the police can't do anything about it. You know, if they're just out on the street. So if you have a complaint about this, call your state legislature.
They hate cities, but go ahead and call them. I will say that I'm sorry to see this get repealed. This is an act that, or an ordinance that we have used a time or two, not a lot, but they've used it very effectively when needed to. And it's a tool that we've now taken out of their tool belt. And just one more example of proof. When the AG said, I hate cities, he meant it.
I had a question on that. So we can't do anything if they're out, but can you still call their parents? Or, I mean, do we just wave at them and speak to them? I mean, what happens?
I really don't know that, you know, what's your probable cause for stopping and talking to them?
What are you doing?
We think you're a runaway, so we must check on you.
Well, it's just.
I mean, I think that's what it's going to be, a struggle for the police on how do we deal with this now. You know, because if you call the parents and they're like, "What are you waking me up for?" Yeah, I know my kid's out and I don't care.
So, we had a motion, had a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I agree with that. Any opposed? Are you voting no? Okay. I don't either. I think it's another motion carries unanimously. For anybody watching here or up in Meadow, Texas, up in North Texas, I've heard their commentary. I've read commentary by the legislators. Some of them are quite proud of this. Quite proud of this. Oh well, they'll have to live in the city someday. Item number 6, and this we're going back to the $250,000. This is the second reading. Discussion and consideration of the second reading of resolution number 2023-20, identifying Dorrance Lane rehabilitation as a project and approving EDC expenses not to exceed $250,000. Council, need a recommended to approve it. Motion by Kurt, second by David. You caught me off guard, both of you coming over there. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item F, consent agenda. Motion to approve by Rick, second by Tia. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Audience comments for matters not on the agenda. Hold on a minute. I got to get that timer.
Yeah, well, this is going to be a group effort, but we're going to sing happy birthday. Come on. We need to take a picture of you. Where's your phone?
Whose birthday camera? Whose birthday is it?
I can just...
Well, I don't have to sing. I just have to sing. I don't sing. You sing.
We're going to watch you sing it to yourself.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Cameron. Happy birthday to you. And
Thank you.
Emily, thank you so much. All right.
Cameron,
Any
happy
other
birthday.
Audience comments? With that, Jimmy, anything to say? Come on.
No? Jimmy Fenwick at 12323 Alston Drive. This is just an exact example. I was actually thinking of this earlier. I want to thank City Council. I want to thank our first responders, our staff. This community, I'm constantly praying and thanking our people because our community is amazing. But I tell you what, I can't think of anywhere else where you can live where everything is so integrated between our officials, our first responders, our staff, and everybody. And I mean, this is just an example of it, that we care for this community. So I want to say thank you so much. It means a lot. I know we go through a lot of things. There's people have concerns and comments and questions and all that. But at the end of the day, we are a community that cares for each other. I got to sit on that committee when we were talking about Your Place for Life. And it is so true. It is so true that Meadows Place is your place for life. And so thank you all very much.
Thank you, Jimmy. And we thank you for being here to lead us in invocation, which proves your point. With that.
One more. I'm just too lazy to get up and walk.
All right.
Okay, as you know, my first love is baseball, and for the first time in about 10 years, they have over 160 kids playing in a fall off-season session, which is amazing that, James Fields and everybody works so hard. I just go up there on Saturdays and work in the sweat box and everything. But I want to put a shout out to them because for a while there, our league was going down the drain. And all I asked him recently, I said, how many kids are there? He goes, 168 and all. So I wanted to tell them that good job.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm proud of all of the organizations within this city that supply something, whether it's bingo to the old people, or if you've ever been there and see them play dominoes, you better watch out and they get hurt. To baseball, swim, etc. Our community garden that puts together out there that one time. All of those things, Jimmy, just exactly what you say, knit the fabric of the community together. Not quite as much as singing Happy Birthday in City Hall does, but all of those things lend itself to making ourselves a better community. And I want to say that everybody on this council feels that way, and it's heartfelt. And I hope everybody will pass that word to your friends and neighbors out there, because we're adjourned.